The Arcturians' blood ran cold when they learned the horrible truth. Humans were savage predators who relished devouring flesh. Rumors swirled through the space station that humanity had not only evolved to eat other creatures, but actively hunted and butchered the fiercest beasts on their planet for sustenance. In a dimly lit corner of the bustling bar, Vega's antennae twitched with fear as he huddled close to his longtime friend Zephyr. The two Arcturians nursed their drinks, reeling from the disturbing revelation Vega had witnessed firsthand at the Galactic Council banquet. "I saw it, Zeph. Those humans, they were eating meat, flesh carved from once-living beings," Vega whispered, his voice trembling. Zephyr's eyes widened in disbelief. "That can't be. Surely any species advanced enough for council membership would have evolved beyond such barbaric practices." Vega shook his head grimly. "Not the humans, and it gets worse. I overheard their delegate, Benjamin Freeman, boasting about how they don't just consume plant-eaters, they hunt and devour the apex predators of their world, ferocious beasts at the very top of their planet's food chain, as Freeman called it." The color drained from Zephyr's face as the implications sank in. If humans could take down the monsters that ruled their planet, what hope did any other species have of standing against them? The Delpan Empire had learned that lesson the hard way when they dared to challenge humanity's might. Now, with mankind taking their place on the Galactic Council, a chilling realization gripped the galaxy. The humans were no longer content to confine their insatiable appetites to their own world. They craved the flesh of the cosmos itself, and nothing would stand in their way for long. Vega and Zephyr knew they had to act fast. The very survival of their species and countless others hung in the balance. They needed to warn the Council, to make them understand the true nature of the predators in their midst before it was too late. The future of the galaxy itself depended on it. Zephyr's eyes widened in surprise. "He actually asked you about Arcturian cuisine, after you spilled food everywhere?" Vega nodded, his antennae twitching nervously. "I know, I couldn't believe it either, but Freeman seemed more interested in learning about our culture than being upset about a little spilled food." He took another sip of his drink, his hands shaking slightly as he set the glass back down. "We talked for hours about the different dishes from our homeworlds. I told him about our famous chloroplast stew and the delicate flavors of our fungal wines. He was fascinated by it all." Zephyr leaned back in his seat, shaking his head in disbelief. "I never would have guessed that a species of predators could be so curious about other cultures, especially when it comes to food." Vega's expression turned thoughtful. "You know, Freeman even invited me to visit Earth someday. He said he wanted to show me some of their famous vegetarian dishes." Vega chuckled softly. "That's the thing about humans. They're full of contradictions. Freeman explained that while many humans do eat meat, there are also millions who choose to eat only plants. Apparently, they have a wide variety of vegetarian and vegan dishes that are quite popular among their people." Zephyr's brow furrowed in confusion. "A species that can thrive on both meat and plants? I've never heard of such a thing. No wonder they were able to colonize so many different worlds." Vega nodded in agreement. "Indeed, the more I learn about humans, the more I realize how little we truly understand them. They're not just mindless predators, Zeph. There's a complexity to their culture that we've barely scratched the surface of." He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. "But that's what makes them so dangerous. They're unpredictable. We can't assume we know everything about them based on a few observations." Zephyr's eyes narrowed. "So what do? We can't just sit back and wait for them to devour the rest of the galaxy." Vega nodded solemnly. "Exactly. And that's why we must learn from them, even as we continue to unravel the mysteries of their species. The future of the galaxy may depend on it." Zephyr takes a moment to process Vega's words before asking, "So what happened after the banquet? Did the Galactic Council take any action regarding the humans' carnivorous nature?" Vega sighs heavily, his shoulders sagging. "That's the most disturbing part. The Council called an emergency session to discuss the implications of humanity's dietary habits. I was there as a representative of our species." He pauses, his eyes distant as he recalls the events. The council chamber was in an uproar. Some delegates demanded that humanity be expelled from the council immediately, citing their barbaric and primitive behavior. Others argued that the humans' diet was a personal choice, and not grounds for discrimination. Zephyr listens intently, his drink forgotten. What did the humans say in their defense? Vega takes a sip of his drink before continuing. Freeman then dropped a bombshell. He revealed that humans had long ago developed the technology to synthesize meat without harming any animals. Many of the meat dishes served at the banquet were actually plant-based or lab-grown. Zephyr's eyes widen in surprise. So they weren't even eating real meat. Why didn't they just say so from the beginning? Vega shakes his head. Because, as Freeman explained, the humans wanted to challenge the Council's preconceptions and biases. They wanted to show that a species' dietary habits don't define their character or their worth. It was a bold move, but it worked. The Council voted to maintain humanity's membership and to promote greater cultural understanding and exchange among all species. Zephyr leans back in his chair, processing the implications of Vega's story. Wow, the humans are even more complex than I thought. They're not just fierce warriors or cunning diplomats. They're also teachers, challenging us to confront our own prejudices and grow as a galactic community. Vega nods solemnly. Exactly. And that's why we must learn from them, even as we continue to unravel the mysteries of their species. The future of the galaxy may depend on it. Zephyr falls silent for a moment, contemplating the gravity of Vega's words. He looks around the dimly lit bar, at the various alien species going about their business, unaware of the momentous events unfolding in the council chambers. You know, he says finally, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm starting to see the humans in a new light. They're not just the terrifying predators we once feared. They're also innovators, diplomats, and even philosophers in their own right. Vega chuckles softly. Don't let them hear you say that. They might let it go to their heads. Zephyr grins, raising his glass in a toast. To the humans, then. May we continue to learn from them even as we strive to understand them better. Vega clinks his glass against Zephyr's, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. To the humans, he echoes, and to a brighter future for us all. The hollow screen flickers as the news anchor shuffles their papers, their face drawn with concern. Vega and Zephyr sit in stunned silence, the weight of the revelation hanging heavy in the air between them. Zephyr drains the last of his drink, setting the glass down with a trembling hand. I just can't wrap my mind around it, he mutters, his voice barely above a whisper. Cannibalism. It's the stuff of nightmares. Vega nods solemnly, his eyes fixed on the holoscreen as the anchor continues to read from the leaked documents. It's hard to imagine any species resorting to such a thing, even in the most desperate of circumstances. Vega sighs heavily, his shoulders sagging under the weight of the revelation. Desperation can drive any species to do the unthinkable, Zephyr. When faced with the choice between survival and starvation, even the most civilized among us might resort to the unimaginable. The anchor's tone shifts, a glimmer of hope creeping into their voice. However, it's important to note that these instances of cannibalism are not representative of humanity as a whole. The documents also reveal that the practice has long been abandoned by human society, and is now considered one of their greatest taboos. Vega nods, a faint smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. You see, humans have evolved beyond their darkest moments. They've learned from their past and have chosen to be better. Zephyr shakes his head, unconvinced. But how can we trust a species with such a violent history? First we learn they're carnivores, and now cannibals. It's too much, Vega. Vega reaches across the table, placing a reassuring hand on Zephyr's arm. We can't judge an entire species by the actions of a few, or by the mistakes of their past. If we did, no species would be worthy of joining the Galactic Council. He takes a deep breath, his eyes shining with conviction. What matters is the present and the future, and from what I've seen of humanity, they have the potential to be a force for great good in the galaxy. We must give them a chance to prove themselves. Zephyr falls silent, considering Vega's words. The holoscreen continues to flicker, the anchor's voice fading into the background as the two friends sit lost in thought, the weight of the galaxy's future resting on their shoulders. Vega returns to the bar, his mind buzzing with the implications of his conversation with Freeman. Zephyr looks up from the holoscreen, his antennae twitching with curiosity. Well, what did he want? Vega slides into his seat, his expression thoughtful. He wanted to provide context for the leaked documents, to help us understand that the instances of cannibalism in human history were the exception, not the rule. Zephyr leans forward, his interest piqued. And what did you learn? That humans, like any species, have a complex history, Vega replies, his gaze distant. They've faced desperation, isolation, and even misguided beliefs. But the vast majority of them have always found the idea of consuming their own kind to be abhorrent. Zephyr nods slowly, processing the information. So the documents only show a small part of the picture. They don't define humanity as a whole. Zephyr sits back in his chair, his brow furrowed. It's still a difficult thing to grasp, to think that any species could resort to such a practice, even in the most extreme circumstances. Vega nods, his expression somber. I agree. But that's the thing about sapient species, Zephyr. We all have parts of our history that we're not proud of. The Arcturians have a history of intraspecies conflict. The Zorgans once practiced ritual sacrifice. But we've grown beyond those things, we've learned from our mistakes and become better as a result. Zephyr's eyes widen in understanding. Just like the humans. Just like the humans, Vega confirms, his tone filled with newfound respect. They're not defined by their past, but by their present and their future. And from what I've seen, they're ready to be a force for good in the galaxy. Zephyr leans back in his chair, his mind reeling with the implications. This changes everything, Vega. If the Council can understand the full context of the leaked documents, it could shift the entire narrative around humanity's place in the galactic community. Zephyr raises his glass, a smile spreading across his face. To new beginnings, then, for humanity and for the galaxy as a whole. Vega clinks his glass against Zephyr's, his eyes sparkling with hope. To new beginnings, he echoes, his voice filled with conviction, and to the future that we'll build together. Vega settles into his seat at the bar, the din of conversation washing over him, as he takes a sip of his freshly delivered drink. Zephyr leans in, his antennae twitching with curiosity. So, what did Freeman say? How did he explain the leaked documents? Vega sets his glass down, meeting Zephyr's gaze. He provided context, Zeph. The instances of cannibalism in human history were rare and often born of desperation. It's not something they condone or practice now. Zorax scoffs, his mandibles clicking in agitation. Context? What context could possibly justify eating your own kind? Vega turns to face Zorax, his expression patient. The same context that explains why our ancestors once engaged in brutal intraspecies conflicts. We've all got dark chapters in our history, Zorax. What matters is that we learn from them and do better. Zephyr nods, his eyes widening as a thought occurs to him. Speaking of doing better, did you hear about the humans' latest scientific breakthrough? Zorax and Vega both turn to Zephyr, their interest piqued. No, what happened? Vega asks. Zephyr pulls up a news article on his communicator, the holographic display casting a soft blue glow over their faces. Human scientists have developed a new form of sustainable agriculture called vertical farming. It can produce twice as much food with half the resources. Zorax leans in, squinting at the article. So what? How does that prove they're not dangerous? Vega reaches over, scrolling down to a particular section of the article. Because they're not keeping this technology to themselves, they're sharing it with the rest of the galaxy, starting with the planets most affected by food shortages and famine. Zephyr's antennae stand at attention, his surprise evident. They're giving away their technology for free? Vega nods, a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. Exactly. The human delegation just announced that they'll be providing vertical farming technology and training to any species that requests it. They see it as a way to promote galactic cooperation and stability. Zorax sits back, his exoskeleton creaking as he folds his arms. But why would they do that? What's in it for them? Vega shrugs, finishing his drink. Maybe nothing. Maybe they just want to help. Or maybe they believe that a galaxy where no one goes hungry is a galaxy that's less likely to descend into conflict and chaos. He fixes Zorax with a pointed look, his tone firm but not unkind. Either way, it's hardly the actions of a species intent on conquest and destruction. Zephyr nods, his expression thoughtful. Vega's right. The humans have their flaws like any species, but they're also capable of great compassion and innovation. We shouldn't judge them solely by their past or their biology. Zorax sighs, his resistance beginning to crumble. I suppose you have a point, but I still think we should keep a close eye on them, just in case. Vega chuckles, signaling the bartender for another round of drinks. Of course, that's what the Galactic Council is for, but let's also keep an open mind. Who knows what other surprises humanity has in store for us? The bartender arrives with their drinks, the vibrant liquid swirling in the glasses. Zephyr raises his, a mischievous glint in his eye. To the humans, then, may they continue to surprise us in ways that bring the galaxy closer together. Vega and Zorax raise their glasses, the tension between them easing as they clink them together. To the humans, they echo, the words carrying a new weight of understanding and possibility. As the news report concludes, the three Arcturians sit in stunned silence, processing the implications of the human delegation's announcement. Vega is the first to break the silence, his voice tinged with excitement. This is a game changer. The humans are opening up their world to us, inviting us to see firsthand what makes their species so unique. Zephyr nods, his antennae twitching thoughtfully. And not just that, but they're willing to adapt their cuisine to accommodate our needs. That shows a level of consideration and respect that we haven't always seen from other species. Zorax snorts, still looking skeptical. Or it could just be a clever way to hide their true nature. What better way to distract us from their predatory past than by putting on a show of hospitality? Vega shakes his head, setting down his drink. I don't think that's what this is about, Zorax. The humans have nothing to gain by deceiving us at this point. If anything, they're taking a risk by inviting us to see their world up close. He leans forward, his eyes shining with conviction. Think about it. They could have easily continued to keep their distance, relying on their military might and technological prowess to maintain their position in the galaxy. But instead, they're choosing to engage with us, to share their knowledge and their way of life. Zephyr's eyes widen as a thought occurs to him. And the joint scientific ventures, that's a huge opportunity for our species. Imagine what we could achieve by combining our knowledge with human ingenuity. Zorax sighs, looking resigned. I still have my doubts, but I can't deny that this is a bold move on the humans' part. I just hope they're sincere about their intentions. Vega reaches across the table, placing a reassuring hand on Zorax's shoulder. Only time will tell, my friend. But I have a good feeling about this. The humans have surprised us before, and I have a feeling they're about to do it again. Vega and Zorax raise their glasses, clinking them together in a toast. As they sip their drinks, the conversation turns to speculation about what the cultural exchange program might entail. I wonder what kind of plant-based cuisine the humans will come up with, Zephyr muses, his eyes glazing over at the thought. I've heard they have a remarkable variety of vegetables and grains on their planet. Vega chuckles, shaking his head. Trust you to focus on the food, Zeph. I'm more interested in the scientific collaborations. Imagine what we could learn from human researchers, especially in fields like medicine and energy production. Zorax leans back in his chair, looking thoughtful. I'm curious to see how they'll handle the logistical challenges of hosting so many different species on their planet. It can't be easy to accommodate such a wide range of physiological needs. Vega nods, his expression turning serious. That's a good point, Zorax. But if anyone can find a way to make it work, it's the humans. They've proven themselves to be remarkably adaptable and resourceful. He pauses, a faraway look in his eyes. You know, I can't help but wonder what this means for the future of the galaxy. If the humans can successfully bridge the gap between our species, it could pave the way for a new era of cooperation and understanding. Zephyr nods, his antennae perking up, and who knows what other surprises the humans might have in store for us. I have a feeling this is just the beginning. As the three friends continue to speculate and dream about the possibilities, the buzz of excitement in the bar grows, as more and more patrons tune in to the news of the human delegation's announcement. It's clear that the galaxy is on the brink of something momentous, and the humans are at the center of it all. As the dinner concludes, Vega and Zephyr linger in the grand hall, savoring the warm glow of newfound camaraderie. Around them, delegates from various species mingle and chat, their earlier apprehensions replaced by genuine curiosity and appreciation for the human hosts. Zephyr leans in close to Vega, his voice low but excited. Did you see the look on Zorax's face when he tried that earth dish called ratatouille? I thought his antennae were going to twist right off in delight. Vega chuckles, nodding in agreement. I know. And the way the humans adapted each dish to suit our diverse nutritional needs, it's clear they put an incredible amount of thought and care into this evening. As they speak, Benjamin Freeman approaches their table, a warm smile on his face. Vega, Zephyr, I hope you enjoyed the meal. We wanted to showcase the incredible diversity and adaptability of human cuisine, and I think our chefs really outdid themselves tonight. Vega stands to shake Freeman's hand, his own smile wide and genuine. Benjamin, it was truly an unforgettable experience. The way you and your team managed to cater to the needs and preferences of so many different species. It's a testament to your creativity and commitment to fostering understanding between our peoples. Freeman's eyes shine with pride and gratitude. Thank you, Vega. That means a great deal coming from you. We humans have always believed that food has the power to bring people together, to bridge even the widest of divides. Tonight was about more than just sharing a meal. It was about sharing our cultures, our stories, and our hopes for the future. Zephyr chimes in, his antennae twitching with excitement. And what a bright future it is. With the humans leading the way in cultural exchange and scientific cooperation, I have no doubt that our galaxy will become a more peaceful, more prosperous place for all species. Freeman nods, his expression turning thoughtful. It won't be an easy road, of course. We still have much to learn about each other, and there will undoubtedly be challenges and misunderstandings along the way. But if tonight has shown us anything, it's that we are stronger together than we ever could be apart. Vega raises his glass, the remnants of a deep purple Arcturian wine swirling within. To the future, then, and to the bonds of friendship and understanding that will light our way forward. As the three clink their glasses together, the sound of laughter and conversation echoes throughout the hall, a symphony of hope and possibility in the face of an uncertain galaxy. For a moment, the weight of history and the barriers of biology fade away, replaced by the simple, profound joy of beings coming together in the spirit of peace and progress. Vega and Xander's conversation is interrupted by the arrival of their drinks, a swirling concoction of vibrant blue and green hues. As the waiter sets the glasses down, Xander leans in, his voice low and conspiratorial. You know, Vega, I've been hearing whispers about the humans' technological advancements as well. Rumor has it, they've made some pretty impressive breakthroughs in fields like medicine and energy production. Vega nods, taking a sip of his drink. I've heard similar rumors. Apparently they've developed a new form of clean energy that could revolutionize the way we power our ships and colonies. Vega sets his glass down, leaning back in his chair. That's just it, Xander. From what I've seen, the humans seem genuinely interested in using their knowledge and resources to help others. It's not just about showing off or asserting their dominance. Xander nods thoughtfully, his antennae twitching. It's a refreshing change of pace, isn't it? So many species in the galaxy are focused on their own advancement, often at the expense of others. But the humans seem to have a different perspective. Vega smiles, his eyes distant as he recalls a conversation with Benjamin Freeman. Freeman once told me that humans have a saying on their planet: "A rising tide lifts all boats." It means that when one group succeeds, everyone benefits. Xander chuckles, shaking his head in amazement. Leave it to the humans to come up with a metaphor like that. But I think they might be onto something. Vega nods, taking another sip of his drink. I agree, and I think that's why the Galactic Council needs to take the humans seriously, not just as a military power or a technological innovator, but as a potential ally in building a better future for everyone. Xander raises his glass, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. To the humans, then, may their rising tide lift us all to new heights. As they clink their glasses together, Vega can't help but feel a sense of excitement and possibility. If the humans can continue to challenge the galaxy's assumptions and inspire a spirit of cooperation and progress, who knows what the future might hold? Vega's communicator buzzes, interrupting the moment. He glances down at the screen, his eyebrows raising in surprise. Speaking of the humans, it looks like they've just announced another surprise. Apparently, they're planning to host a series of cultural festivals on Earth, showcasing the music, dance, and traditions of different human societies from across their history. Xander leans forward, his interest piqued. Festivals? That sounds intriguing. What kind of performances are they planning? Vega scrolls through the announcement, his eyes scanning the details. Let's see, there's a section on ancient tribal dances, a showcase of classical, ballet, and opera, a display of modern music genres like jazz and rock. He pauses, his eyebrows raising in surprise. And apparently they're even inviting musicians and dancers from other species to participate in collaborative performances. Xander whistles softly, looking impressed. They're really pulling out all the stops, aren't they? It's like they're determined to show the galaxy every facet of their culture. Vega nods, a thoughtful expression on his face. I think they are, Xander, and I think it's a brilliant move. By showcasing their artistic and cultural achievements alongside their technological and culinary skills, they're painting a more complete picture of who they are as a species. He pauses, setting down his communicator. And by inviting other species to participate, they're sending a powerful message about the value of cultural exchange and collaboration. It's not just about humans sharing their talents with the galaxy, but about the galaxy coming together to create something new and beautiful. Xander smiles, raising his glass once more. To the humans and their endless surprises, may their festivals be a shining example of what we can achieve when we celebrate our differences and find common ground. As the human delegates file out of the Grand Hall, Vega and Zephyr find a quiet corner to process the bombshell revelation. Vega's antennae droop as he slumps against the wall, his mind reeling. I just can't believe it, Zeph. After everything we've seen, all the progress we thought they'd made, how could there still be such division among the humans? Zephyr places a comforting hand on Vega's shoulder, his own expression troubled. I know it's hard to accept, Vega, but we have to remember that change is never easy, especially for a species with such a complex history. Vega shakes his head, frustration etched into his features. But the factions that woman mentioned, the ones who see the galactic community as a threat, how could they be so short-sighted? Don't they realize that cooperation and diversity are the keys to our collective survival? Zephyr sighs, his gaze distant. Fear is a powerful motivator, Vega, and for some the idea of losing their identity, their sense of who they are, it's more terrifying than any external threat. Vega begins to pace, his mind racing. But what does this mean for the future of human-galactic relations? If there are elements within human society actively working against integration and progress, how can we trust them as allies? Zephyr's antennae twitch as he considers the question. We can't paint all humans with the same brush, Vega. Just as there are those who resist change, there are also those who embrace it, who see the value in building bridges and finding common ground. Vega pauses, turning to face his friend. Like Benjamin Freeman and the other delegates who worked so hard to make the cultural exchange program a success, Vega's shoulders sag as he leans against the wall once more, the weight of the revelations hanging heavy upon him. I just wish it were that simple, Zeph. But with so much uncertainty, so much potential for conflict, I fear for what lies ahead. Zephyr moves to stand beside Vega, his presence a silent comfort. I know, my friend. But we cannot let fear guide our actions. We must have faith in the better angels of humanity, and in our own ability to navigate the challenges to come. As the two friends stand in the shadow of the Grand Hall, the weight of the galaxy's future bearing down upon them, they know that the path ahead will be fraught with difficulty and danger. But they also know that they cannot falter, cannot lose sight of the dream of a united galaxy, a future where all species stand together in the face of whatever threats may come. For now all they can do is watch and wait, hoping against hope that the humans will find their way, and that the promise of a brighter tomorrow will not be lost to the darkness of division and mistrust. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.